your reaction to yes campaigners telling no campaigners telling early voters that a yes vote would lead to reparations?
Well, there's been so much misinformation from the no campaign. And this referendum is about just two things: recognition of Indigenous Australians, the first Australians in our Constitution. That's the first thing. The form of recognition is through a non-binding advisory committee, allowing governments to listen to what Indigenous Australians say about matters that affect them. Why do you want to do that? You want to do that because you get better results. That's what this is about. And to me, the no campaign undermines its own position by the fact they want to talk about everything that this referendum isn't about and nothing about what it is. If they had a confidence in their position, then they wouldn't have to make things up. But the truth is there is no downside in voting yes. Voting yes will just give 3% of the population the opportunity to be heard. An opportunity to be heard because we know that when people are directly affected and they're able to have a voice and be listened to, you'll get better outcomes. And we know that from experience. We see it in Indigenous health with community health programs. We see it with the Indigenous Rangers programs. We see it with education programs that involve local communities in order to get kids to school and to lift up that opportunity. And the other thing it will do is if you give Indigenous Australians agency and a say, and you will also be giving them responsibility for the outcomes. So instead of decisions being made in Canberra without proper reference to people on the ground in local communities, you'll get more efficient outcomes as well. You'll get better results. You'll actually save money, not spend money. There hasn't been a lack of money spent on Indigenous affairs in recent years. There has been a lack of outcomes. No is what exists right now. A vote for no is saying that what exists right now is what will continue, that we can't look for a better way. And the truth is that we have to do better. Only 4 of the 19 closing the gap targets are being met. We have an 8-year life expectancy gap. We have a greater chance of an Indigenous young male going to jail than going to university. We have a greater chance of an Indigenous young woman dying in childbirth than a non-Indigenous woman. We have greater infant mortality rates. We have higher incarceration rates. We have worse outcomes on education, health and housing. We can do better. This is a very modest request. It's a handout from Indigenous Australians just asking for it to be joined in the spirit of reconciliation so we can walk forward together. And every time I see this sort of campaign from the no side, what it does is remind me that they don't have a case to put forward on what this referendum is about, which is why they're resorting to other things. So my plea to voters, and I note that today there was a poll that showed an uplift in the yes vote. My plea to voters is look at what the question is before the Australian people. It says very clearly, in recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first peoples of Australia. That's the recognition bit. Then it just says there shall be a body to be called the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. It may make representations, not decisions, representations to government about matters affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And then the last clause is the primacy of the Parliament. The Parliament shall make laws about the functions and composition and procedures of the voice. So nothing to fear here, everything to gain.